So, good morning, everybody. Faculty at various centers and at the ETV, we will be having this session on research tools. Now, because I will be interacting with the participants at various centers, so okay, as we were discussing the various steps, one step among the conduct of any research comes the research tools or research instruments. Now, definitely in most of the social sciences, you will see the tools are in the form of maybe questionnaire like that. But in the sciences and engineering, tools may be in the form of equipment like that also. So in any way, instrument is anything device that is used to quantify and record information. So you have thought of anything, something new for uh, uh, for taking
Okay.
readings, in the laboratory, and you want to fabricate that thing, fabricate that equipment and collect information with that, then that device will be referred as the measuring instrument. Of course, in social sciences, you will find more of the standardized tests. So the types of various types of tools which we are using in the social sciences or technical education system, I would say, they are standardized instruments. Yesterday also number of participants have told about these things, that there can be aptitude tests. They are standardized tests are also available. Ability tests like IQ and everything. Then there can be personality tests. Say you want to measure social behavior, extroversion, introversion of the individuals, leadership skills of the individuals. For that also standardized tests are available. Now, yeah, I was yesterday mentioning about the validity of the data we are collecting. If our measuring instrument is not right, it will not give us the valid results. So, standardized tests, they are validated at the large scale and are of better quality. But for certain areas, you may not find standardized tests in the market. So then the researcher has to develop, keeping in view the objectives, he has to develop the research tools. They can be questionnaires, they can be interview schedules, observation schedule, attitude scale. Even the researcher may develop the achievement tests also. Depending upon the nature of the research problem, the researcher may have to develop these things if they are not available in the standardized form in the market. So this is the broader classification of the measuring instruments. I will be first of all talking about the. Of course, I won't go into the standardized instruments. I will be coming more on focusing more on the researcher developed. That is maybe questionnaires, interview schedules, observation schedules like that. So, what is questionnaire? Everybody knows this is a type of written instrument that contains a series of questions to which your sample respondents, they have to respond in that. And it can be given independently by one individual also, and you can go for group also. So you personally visit the institution and distribute the questionnaire there and collect the data in one go from all of them. And it can be mailed to individual respondents also. We will see what can be the problems in both the things. Then so as I said, they can be mailed or personally distributed. It is generally based on together factual type of information. Of course, you can have the opinions also from the respondents. Generally, we go for questionnaire when that our sample is geographically wider distributed at the wider places. Say, it may become very difficult to conduct interviews. Say, if I am having total of the northern India for collecting information, so I can't visit so many places for collecting, for interviewing people and for making observations there. So for that matter, generally we go for depend more on the questionnaires, because you can send it, and nowadays even the softwares are available. If you have the email IDs of all the respondents, then you can just email the questionnaire, and from that the this you will get the means data coded also once they fill up the forms. Some Google is having some type of this arrangement. Now, mailing, distributing in classes, it can be through meetings also, you can adopt any way. There are certain steps which you are to follow, because we want questionnaire which is giving us the information which we want, and it should not be influenced by any other thing which can affect the responses of the individuals, or even the analysis how we are going to interpret the things. So designing of questionnaire seems to be a very simple thing, that okay, this is my objective, so this question will go. But I have seen in many cases, questionnaires are not prepared properly. And if the questionnaire, that is your, even the instrument is not giving you the valid results, then of course you can think of the findings which you are coming out with that usage of that questionnaire. First step is decide the purpose, objectives of the questionnaire. Now I am not saying the purpose of the study. From the purpose of the study, there may be 4 or 5 objectives of the study. Out of that, you have to see for which purpose you are preparing the questionnaire. You should be, the researcher should be very clear about it. Then we just had a session on population and sample. So why we say that the knowledge of the population and sample is important for the designing of the questionnaire. I have, when we analyzed in various questions in the questionnaires conducted by even our ME students also, what happened, so they were mentioning about the wanted to have information about the cloud computing usage in the smartphones. What they did, the question asked was, what is cloud computing? Now my question was, I am a customer, right? And I don't need to know that what is cloud computing and everything. But because your smartphones are being used by different group of people, they need not know the technical knowledge of those things. So when you know about the sample, the nature of the sample, you know what type of questions are to be framed so that you reach the objectives also. So it's very important that you have the knowledge of the population and the sample, so that your questions are framed keeping their background in view. Even illiterate people, they are using phones. So if you are conducting the customer survey, you may not go into the details of certain things, right? So you have to keep this background in view. Then you are to, out of that objective, you are to generate the research questions which will be addressed through this questionnaire. Be very clear about those research questions. Sometimes research questions are very broad, and at that point you have to split those things into number of parts, and then construct the items for each of that subcomponent. We will come to that also. For that matter, we write the criterion questions, which are sub questions under a single or different research questions, and then we write the questionnaire items. Just you can see that this is this total study purpose. There may be different research questions. Out of these research questions, there may be, below each research question, there may be different criterion questions, means sub questions are there to reach at the research question. Then finally, you come to the questionnaire items. You write questionnaire items for each of the criterion questions. Now you see, there is not a single question under each of the criterion questions. You have to now, point is how many questions to write under each criterion question. There is no limit of that. The limit is only one, that overall your questionnaire should not be so lengthy that it goes to the dustbin when it is sent to the respondent. Because longer the questionnaire, more the probability of not getting the data back. Because people don't feel like 10 पेज का आया है इसको साइड पे रख दो. So you have to take care of that. But for having full information about any criterion question, one questionnaire item will not suffice. You may have to write more items for each of them. And there is no fixed number for each of, say, first criterion question, you had to write only 2 items. Another criterion question, you may have to write 5 questionnaire items. So there is nothing like such limits on your having number of items for each questionnaire criterion question. So now once this is done, then you have to check each of the research question has been addressed or have been addressed or not. Say there are 2 research questions for which you are making a questionnaire. Then you have to see that, okay, based on these were the only criterion questions, these questions I have written, are they really fulfilling that research answer to those research questions? Do I getting the full information about that? And here I would say sometimes researchers become very ambitious. Okay, add this also, add this also, add this also. And at the final goal you find this is information is not required for your research purposes. So be very careful, because that is going to unnecessarily make your questionnaire lengthy. And finally, the fate of that means questionnaire will not be very good. You won't be able to collect full data. So you have to keep all these aspects in view. Then you are to write instructions. So we will be going, and the very important thing is that you pilot test the questionnaire and refine items. Pilot testing is very important because that adds to the validity of the things, and that makes your questionnaire more means refined. Sometimes, as I just mentioned, you may be very ambitious, researcher may be very ambitious to add everything in the questionnaire, or maybe the researcher's vocabulary is very good and he feels that, okay, I am making questionnaire, so let me use very tough words in the questionnaire, and the respondent when goes through that, not of that level, will feel, okay, समझ ही नहीं आ रहा, कौन डिक्शनरी देखे, साइड पे रख दो. So take care of such things. You have to keep those views, but you might have thought when you are taking in view the background of your sample, but still certain things might be omitted there. So pilot testing tells you that really of that category of the sample is able to interpret your questions in the right perspective what you wanted, and they are not giving something else if they are not able to follow your questions. Then, of course, this is the final step. Then you administer the final questionnaire. How you administer, we will come later on. Now, you are to take certain decisions about the question content. Is the question really necessary? Then only add it. Otherwise, don't bulk your questionnaire with unnecessary type of information. That, okay, sometime I will use it. Don't do like that. Then, are several questions needed on the subject matter of this question? Say this is the criterion question. Really this much information is needed? Sometimes we ask too little and sometimes we ask too much. So you have to see that are these many questions are okay, or I have to add something more in that. Then, do respondents have the information necessary to answer the question? Certain data is with the Directorate of Technical Education, or maybe with some other department, or maybe the office of the institution, and you are asking the teacher to give that information. That's wrong. So you have to be very clear. Ask those questions from the teacher or student whatsoever is your sample, which they know it. Don't ask that information from them which you should collect from other source. So be careful about that. Then, does the specific question need to be more concrete, specific, and related to the respondent's personal experience? You have to take care of all these things when you are framing questions. There are two types of broadly questions. One is the closed-ended question and the other is the open-ended question. Let me hear from you what you mean by closed-ended question. If I am making questionnaire, I think some of you might have the experience in designing questionnaires also. But I will request everybody to participate just to means share what are closed-ended questions. Yes. When they are given option and they have to take the option. Very good, very good. When you have given that fixed options that okay, out of these options you select one. So they don't have any choice to deviate from the given responses. So questions, these type of questions provide respondent with a list of responses from which they are to select the answer. You can also provide multiple choice also. Yes, no. Yes, no. It can be yes, no. It can be multiple choice also. So two-way, there are types means when there are two choices, two-way choices, forced choices there, then it can be the two alternatives. Say when you say, do you always wake up before 8 a.m.? Yes or no. Now what happens with these type of questions generally? Woke up says that it's not always. How he can respond to this? So if he says yes, then also it is wrong. If he says no, then also it's wrong. What will be the tendency of the respondent? Leave the question unanswered. So if your questionnaire is not having right type of items, that will encourage different things which may create problem in your total data collection. So you can also in multiple choice, you can also ask for the ranking. Say, I want to know the leadership qualities of the maybe the administrators. And you list out 10. You say that, okay, out of these 10 only I want. And ask them to rank which is the most important in their view. Then they second, third, and like that. Say we are saying different life skills or soft skills. Now you can conduct a study and ask the industry that they rank that on rank basis, what they rank as the most important soft skill, whether it is leadership, communication, team building. So get the ranking of that, and accordingly you prepare your own students as the industry places them at the ranking. So point is, ranking can also be taken. I am giving you the example for multiple choice. So what in your opinion are the qualities of a good administrator? Now, do you want to say that able to make decisions? Fast, not only make decisions, he is also fast decision maker. He is able to listen properly to the individuals. He is impartial in dealing, and he is good in interpersonal communication. So here I may ask for ranking also. So point is, but in any case, I am not giving any open choice for the person to respond in a different way. I have listed the options for that. Here you may also go that they can mark up to 3. Means this all depend, but only thing is you see in the closed-ended, all the options are given right there. The other type is the open-ended questions. Of course, there won't be the choices. So this provides subjects in freedom to answer question in own words. Sometimes we really want to have their opinions. If we want to have their opinion, they should be able to write in their own way, right? And we are not forcing any type of means, we are not giving any type of hints for that. So these do not provide respondent with any answers from which to select anything. See this, the same question which I said earlier about the what in your opinion are the qualities of a good administrator? The same question I am putting it as the open-ended question. What in your opinion are the qualities of a good administrator? So here everything has to come from the respondent only. We are not giving any option to the student, respondent. Now, what are the advantages of open-ended questions? If we have such type of questions, there are certain distinct advantages in it. First, we are not forcing to select thing between the different categories. So they have to think of their own. they better reflect respondents' thoughts and belief. Otherwise, when you are giving some hints, that is biasing, that may bias also. Appropriate when list of possible answers is too much. Too many of the possible answers can be there, and you feel you just can't jot down each and everything there. So you go for it. Here I would say you can have a mixed type of thing. You say, because sometimes your respondent may need that some hint is there with us. So what you do, you give 2 or 3 options, say what are the qualities of the good administrator. You write 2 and then you say specify more please. So it has a mixed type of thing. Let respondent tell the researcher what he means and not the opposite. So open-ended questions have these distinct advantages. That's why they are also preferred in addition to the closed ones. Now let us see some disadvantages. This I will like to know from you. Let me go for Indraprasth Engineering College, Ghaziabad. Okay, we go to Government Engineering College, Hassan.
Hello.
Anji sir, have you followed the question?
Yes, madam.
Anji, what are the disadvantages?
Is it time consuming? Is it time consuming?
Okay, it's time consuming. Good.
You may get unwanted answers.
Unwanted answer. Right, very rightly said. Thank you, sir. So very rightly said. When the open-ended questions are there, it may become more time consuming, and something else may be written by the respondent. Let me hear from the studio also. Anybody who will like to tell what are the disadvantages of open-ended questions?
Different.
Difficult to, sorry?
Difficult to interpret.
Difficult to interpret. Very rightly said. It becomes difficult to interpret. So in these questions, what happens? Respondent may say too much or too little. And I have seen generally it is too much. Yes, agree, no agree, and that's all. Right? So that again will not be right. Then provide incomplete answer. Because flexibility in responses becomes difficult to code and analyze. Because all respondents have given different set of responses, and when you really want to interpret those things and code those things, you really find it's all messed up. So many things, different things are coming that it becomes difficult for the researcher to really code and analyze that data. Say 2% say one thing, another 2% say one thing, another 2% say another thing, another set of abilities. So a researcher is really confused how to interpret that data. That's why these things become time consuming also. Interpretations of answers may vary. Sometimes some synonyms type of words are used for the same thing. And you really want to see that, okay, he really wants to say the same thing or he is meaning something else. So even at times, researchers are not able to interpret what really they want to say. So these were some of the disadvantages. And now we come to writing of the survey questions. Now, writing of survey questions is not that easy, as I was mentioning earlier. Make sure that the question is first of all relevant to the hypothesis. Keeping you research questions hypothesis, then only write the question. Say hypothesis is, I will be taking examples from different fields, may not be related to engineering, but they will convey the things to you. Hypothesis say is women are more likely to get out of a traffic stop by a police officer than men. तो चालान नहीं काटा जाता उनका जल्दी से. Now the question the researcher has made is, have you ever been not issued a traffic violation when wrong after being stopped by a police officer? Never through more than 3 times. Then the researcher, then the researcher made this interpretation out of this question when he collected them. I predict that when women are more likely to be let off due to their persuasiveness and leniency of the officers to women. Is it the right way to write the questions? This is my question to you. You may go through the whole thing again and tell me, I give you the hint, what is wrong with this question? You have the hypothesis, you have the question, just analyze what is wrong in the question for testing this hypothesis. I just give 1 minute. You may discuss among yourselves also, among each other also, and just give the answer for it.
Of course, there is a combination of two questions. Have you ever been not assumed that traffic violation went wrong after we stopped by?
Combination of two questions you want to say. Okay.
Not related to hypothesis.
Not related to hypothesis. Okay. Okay. So one interpretation has come up that it's this question is not related to hypothesis. Am I right in saying what you said? Okay. Any other view? Let me have views from the centers also. One of our participants has said that the question is not going with the hypothesis. So let me just ask why it is not going with the hypothesis. Hypothesis may you have said that okay they are not means challaned because of their leniency towards the women. So question we have asked the same question, then why it's not going with the hypothesis?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, we are from ABS Engineering College and we would like to discuss this.
Yes, yes, madam. Hanji.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, yes, very clear.
In our opinion, this question is going with the hypothesis.
This question is going with the hypothesis. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am. Because if we are talking about the survey on the woman likely to be getting out of a traffic police by a traffic stop by a police officer, then
men.
Question. This can be one of the parameters.
Okay.
Analyze that have you ever been stopped, not issued a traffic violation when wrong after being stopped. So this goes because we have generally seen the woman being not stopped by a police officer rather than a man is always being stopped.
Okay. Very good, madam, for the interpretation you have given. But we will continue with the coming to the solution of it. Okay. Thanks for the contribution. Any other center will like to volunteer and give the views? So if they don't ask, I would say you are to means they may not answer correctly. Then we can't have the data from the respondents. Actually, the question has become complicated because of two reasons. One, because when we are adding not in that, right? And the other thing is, say if the person is stopped, found guilty, and then left. So we are here not having the total number of times for which they were stopped. Right? Say they are stopped for 10 times. How many times have you been stopped for the traffic violations? When you don't have that figure with you, just that I have been challaned when I was stopped twice. But this twice is out of how many times? That was important and that was missing in that question. So this, in comparison to what? Then you have to ask that in how many of the above traffic stops were you have been issued a challan. Then it becomes then it will test the hypothesis. Point is that, as I was mentioning, that at times you may need more questions to reach at that hypothesis. But in that question, only one question, the researcher tried that only in one question the total thing should come. And in that way, half of the information was taken and half of the information was left out. Because of that, you cannot say that your hypothesis is accepted or rejected when you don't have these two informations with you. Then do not ask double-barreled questions like, is your doctor friendly and reasonably priced? Now say the respondent feels he is friendly but very expensive. So how he can means respond to this question. You may see, and these type of questions are written number of times. Does the algorithm provide consistent and valid results? It may be providing consistent results, but if they are not valid, then algorithm has no meaning for you. वो consistent में आ जाता ना, से बार बार झूठ बोलने से झूठ सच नहीं बन जाएगा. So consistent is like that only, कि बार बार गलत रिजल्ट दे रहा है, it doesn't mean that it is giving you the accurate results. So this again is wrong. You see this also. Do you believe that the training program was a good? बहुत अच्छा था, बैठे थे, अच्छा कमरा था, everything में खाना वाना अच्छा था, right? But effective था ही नहीं. So how can I respond? How should I respond to this question? And effective in teaching in your new skills. So again, it has to be these type of questions should be split in two questions if you really want to ask both the aspects. So here in these questions, problem is researcher does not know whether the respondent meant for his answer to apply to both components or just to the one component. Avoid ambiguous question which can be interpreted differently from the way that is intended. Say, what is your income? Right? Say, how many computers do you have in college? Now my point is, why these questions are ambiguous? Why these questions are ambiguous? Now here I will request the participants at the center only to just think of it. But in any case, answers from the centers are welcomed. Anybody can volunteer for it.
Hello, madam.
Yes, yes, sir.
This is from GEC Karwa. See, for example, the first question, what is your income?
Yes.
That's being contradictory. Like the income is it a monthly income or annual income?
Very
or
good.
is it as a on a different basis? It depends on the perception of the respondent.
Right, so right. So is it monthly? It may not be only your salary only. It may be income from other sources also. So this question is very ambiguous because it will be interpreted differently by different people. Some may give the monthly income, some may give yearly, some may include income from other sources, some may not include. So this will not give you the clear picture what really you want, on the basis of which further interpretations are to be made. Likewise, how many computers do you have in the college? Again, a problem with this is, are you asking about the including everything? Maybe in the hostel are also there, right? Maybe the individual may think that, okay, these are whatsoever is available in the office, that is to be given. So this type of information, this question doesn't clear that at what level, for which purpose you are needing it. Then see this, why this question is not good. Just see, how old are you? वैसे कहते हैं एज नहीं पूछनी चाहिए, बट डजंट मैटर, तभी हमने स्पेसिफिक एज नहीं पूछी. वी हैव गिवन द रेंजेस, बट स्टिल द प्रॉब्लम इज देयर.
Hello.
Yes, please.
I'm from GC Asan.
Yes, sir.
I would like to add up on one more thing.
Yes.
The thing is, nobody reveal their income.
Yes, that also is there, but for that matter, that's why the question was ambiguous. That you have raised a very important thing, and for that matter, you should go for the ranges. You should say that 50,000 to 1 lakh per year from all sources, right? Then you say 1 lakh to 3 lakh. The people may not give you the exact income, but they definitely will give you in which range they follow. And generally, when income is asked, why, okay, with this type of income, this range of income, what is the effect on the other things? So you are right in saying, but if say you need the exact figure, nobody generally has the exact figure at hand also when you go for collection data. So you have to put that information in a, seek that information in a different way.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes, please.
Madam, well,
Yes,
probably after demonetization we will get the right answer.
Very good, very good. Okay. So, what is the problem in the how old are you? This very item.
Same, like is it 15 days or 15 months or 15 years? And with reference to what date?
Any other? Any other?
Yes, ma'am.
Right,
20.
right. There is an answer from the center BTV studio. There is overlapping 15 to 20, then 20 to 30. It is coming at both the ends. So nobody wants to say that he is older. So at 15-20, that person will go in 15-20 range. So he won't go into the 20-30 range. So again, it will not be of use to you. You won't be able to get it. Preferably, it should have been 15-19, 20 less, and like that. There should not be any overlapping of the figures.
Hello, ma'am.
Hanji?
And one more thing. In
Yes.
this, the question is, how old are you? The question should be, to which age group do you belong?
Very right, very right. That is more appropriate. Rightly said. Thank you. Then linking personalities or institutions to issues that can also affect the responses. Just see here. It's generally better to have a man at the head of the department composed of both men and women employees. Now, when you say generally better to have, it means you are first of all linking personalities and you are forcing the person to say like that. That type of thing should not be there. Choice of words like this, it goes with the earlier one also. That's why I have forwarded it. Don't you think that global warming is a serious environmental problem? Now, when you say, don't you think, answer to aapne de diya hai.
Yes, sir.
Right? So what you want from the person? You see, would you agree that government policies on health are not good, unfair? Answer फिर आपने दे दिया है. Unemployment is increasing, isn't it? So in all these cases, what the researcher is doing, he is giving the answer. Smoking is bad, isn't it? So this should not be there. That where the questions like this, they are encouraging a particular response because the question indicates that what the researcher expects it. You are putting the answer in their mouth, which should not be the approach in any type of that data collection things. Ensure consistent, meaningful all respondents. Let me here again show one question. How often do you clean your teeth? You say frequently, often, infrequently, never. Now, why this question is not right? Because frequently means different thing for different people. What should be there then? What should be there? You improve this question. You improve this question. Very good. Very good. Very good. So response from the studio is, you may say after every meal, twice a day, thrice a day, like that. That would be more, means giving, that will be interpreted consistently by different respondents. No double negatives. Again, this is a problem. It's not the case that I have never cheated on my tax returns. Now, double negative, जैसे होता है ना साइंसेस में, negative plus negative becomes positive. Actually, it is a positive statement. But it will take a lot of effort to interpret this statement in that way. Never one should not help others. Again, double negatives are there. So it has to, the respondent has to put in more effort to understand the meaning of it. So either he will leave or he will wrongly answer the question. So be careful about this. Survey questions, there should not be any objectionable type of things. Say, have you answered each question truthfully? Now what you are saying, what you are doing with this thing, you are challenging that person that you are not responding truthfully, which is a very sensitive type of thing. Look at the other. How many years of education were you able to complete? right? You have not given any scope that he should give any reason for it. So it is a directly a means you are challenging his ability to complete the things, which is a wrong thing, right? So be careful about the wording. You will say that, okay, I have just asked it. Don't think that you have just asked it. Look from the respondent point of view. He or she will feel offended that what this person is asking me. So be careful for writing questions. Then, of course, avoid technical words, slang, unusual type of vocabulary. As we were discussing, when we were saying that the look to the background of the population sample, they don't have the knowledge of the technical words, and you are means surveying for the utility of your software. Then you have to see what type of technical knowledge the customer, the user has, not what is the intricacies of the your software or anything. So unusual vocabulary, if your the customer is not is not highly educated or not good in that that would say in that language proficiency, then vocabulary will become the hindrance in responding the questions. Make the questions clear and concise. Grammar, spelling should be good. Then be aware of cross-cultural differences also. So if you are taking information from different cultures, so keep all the cultures in your view. Any of your questions should not offend or misinterpreted by because of cultural differences. Should look at wording of questions. If you have finding it difficult, you can see some reputable survey what type of wording they are using. That can be of help to you. So this was all about how you are framing questions for the surveys. Then comes sequencing of items in questionnaire. Early questions set the mindset of the respondent. So they should not be the threatening type of questions. You are to make, because if I am interviewing by words, by my gestures, by my communication, I establish a type of rapport and get the information from the respondent. In questionnaire, you are not there. So the questions only they are going to develop that type of rapport and you get the information. So start first of all with the non-threatening factual type of questions. When you ask name, age group, occupation, one feels comfortable in responding to the things, right? Then you move to the closed questions because the person is not that clear what exactly he has to answer. So when you ask certain dichotomous, your multiple choice, rating scale, ranking type of questions, it is easier for the respondent to, because he has certain hints to answer. Then you move to the sensitive questions towards the end. By that time, he has established what you're really going for and everything. So then towards the end, because in number of research studies, you have at certain points some sensitive questions also. And open-ended questions also, they will again come at the end only. Try to keep the survey short, that I have already mentioned. Then you have to keep certain things while writing instructions. Always write in the beginning, write why you are going to conduct the study. And pamper the respondent also, that your valuable responses will be of immense help in forwarding this work, so that person is motivated to respond to the questionnaire. Otherwise, generally people don't respond. To be very frank, at times it comes to us also, and if we are busy, that becomes our last priority. Then how to answer items, that can be a word about it. Say you may say that first few questions are only yes or no answers, like that you can give some hint like that. Now this thing is very, very important, whether the responses are anonymous or not. We conducted one study and that was from or regarding status of internal assessment from the students. And when we went there in the class, we announced that your responses will be kept confidential. and you don't have to write your name also. One of the item was, are teachers biased in awarding internal assessment? 80% of the students said that teachers are biased. So if they know that it is anonymous, they will dare to write that type of thing. Otherwise, they won't write that type of thing. Because especially I would say, I'm sorry to say rather that, in engineering colleges, in these colleges, we have the internal assessment. And the students say, okay, iska jawab to baad mein denge, pehle degree le le. So be careful for that. Answer all items. I have seen, and this generally happens when the question is not clear. You have to request them that you are to answer all the items. Otherwise, what happens? First 10 and last 5 are answered, and in between they will go on skipping the questions. Though there are now software to take care of this also, that if they are omitted, but in any case they will be affecting your interpretation of the things, because sample for those items will change them. Easy to understand, written in clear and language, as brief as possible. ये ना हो कि आपके instructions का ही पेज भर जाए. That should not be there. They should be brief and crisp. And always thank them, because they have spared time for this job, which is of no use to them. So at the beginning also, praise them, and at the end also, we will be highly obliged to give this type of information like that. Say, I am just taking one example how the questions are written. I will not be commenting on the quality of the question, but just how it goes even for the engineering subjects. Say you want to determine the effect of temperature, thermostat setting, door opening on energy consumption of the refrigerator. Compare temperature control and occupant comfort. Develop energy test using some mathematical equations and reduce the effect of relative humidity. The type of questions were, hypotheses were, with the increase in number of door openings, energy consumption increases the same way. Then energy consumption increases with the increase in ambient temperature. Now the questions written were, at what temperature the conventional thermostat regulates in winters? Does setting back the temperature save energy? Now you see, when I am asking this question, that at what temperature the conventional regulates, the normal respondent might not be knowing it. So that you have to check from your own sources and not to ask the consumer for that purpose. Of course, you say, does the setting back save energy or not, what they feel. Maybe there may be some changes in their consumption, and they might be checking that also. How frequently do you open the door in an hour? That they can of course respond. Say, what problems can occur by using thermostat? Now here the problem is comfort, moisture, lack of air circulation, and temperature. Now the responses given are wrong. You say A only, A, B, C, that too is okay. But when you say all of the above, and none of the above, that has no meaning. So such type of options should not be given when you are asking such type of questions. So about for any type of instrument which you are making, maybe questionnaire, maybe interview schedule, maybe observation, always see that you will be able to find valid results from the instrument. It may be any equipment to measure anything, but validity is most important in any measuring instrument. And validity is, does the instrument measure what it really intend to measure, what we want to measure. Reliability, as I mentioned earlier also, it is the consistent results yielded by the instrument or the questionnaire whatsoever we have made. And most concern is of the content validity. Have you ever heard this, what we mean by content validity? In questionnaire, what will be the content? Your questionnaire items. So total, your questionnaire in all should have the content validity. And in instruments, we don't have content validity. But in questionnaires, interviews, observation schedules, we have to have this type of validity. There is another type of validity which is called face validity. That in looking, it looks like that, okay, it's doing it. I just give one example of face validity. Say, electrical engineering student is there, and you ask a question that, okay, this much length of a pipe is there, and you have to cut it into through two pieces with this type of lengths. Now, when you say pipe, he feels that this is the question of the civil engineer, why this person is asking me. Now, the same question, if I say 10-meter wire, electrical wire is to be cut into these two, he says, okay, this is of my area. So on face, when you use the word pipe, he thought that it is not my area. But when the same thing, concept was same, but on face it looked that it does not belong to my area. So this type of thing, my point is, your though face validity has no otherwise any meaning, just it is for the benefit of the person who is responding that, okay, it's from my area. That feeling is there, otherwise it's not contributing anything. But content, if content validity is not there, meaning it means you are not getting the information what you really intend from them. So does the content validity is determined by having panel of experts in the field. When you have to follow certain steps while designing questionnaire, write the questions, and then it should be given to the individuals who are going to, means experts in that area, and the individuals who are to fill that, but not the persons who will be the included in the sample. You have to take some other person, and they, from there only you can find that whether it is having content validity or not. There is no statistical test to determine this. These are the only means procedures that you establish this. You keep in view your research questions, criterion questions, then the items. Then you have the one-to-one thing that, okay, this criterion question, this sub-criterion question, then this much item, it will be able to do it. So you give to the people, experts in the area, maybe 5, 6, then they will do it. Now this again is a tedious job, because experts don't have time to go for these things. So it is again a type of challenge for the researcher. Reliability, of course, it is the consistency in results. I won't go into that. Then you are to pilot test the questionnaire. Once your questionnaire is ready, it is tested from the experts and everything, then you find a group of respondents who will not be the sample part. Then you give them the questionnaire and see whether they are able to comprehend the meaning of the things. Vocabulary is of their level. They have that type of information right there. Though now this type of pilot testing is on very small sample. You don't have to have very big sample for it. So if your total sample size otherwise is 500, it may be tested on 20 people only. Then you are to modify it. Then get feedback on validity. Check whether questionnaire is pilot testing helps in these aspects. I will just go through them. Questionnaire, if questionnaire is too long, too short, this also information will come from here. The items which are misinterpreted by the respondents, that will come. Use this I have said, okay. Then the data collection. If you are having questionnaires, you can either mail them, or I was saying that even it can be emailed and directly coded and taken that. But if you don't have the emails, then of course you have to adopt the other methods. You may go personally. When you go personally, there is one added advantage, that in one go you get lot of information, but it becomes costly also. Now when you mail them, then there is low rate of return. Everybody is not free to fill it and then post it. It's very difficult. So low rate of return will disturb your sample size. So you have to see, generally it is said that 70% even if you get, it's good. but we at times even do not get the 70% also. So low rate of return is there. So this is all about the questionnaires. If you have any questions regarding questionnaire, we can first discuss and then we will move to the other research tools, that is interviews and observations. Any questions please from any center? Any question from any center? Even from the studio also, if any of you have any question regarding questionnaire. Okay, it means I can move to the ABES, Engineering College Ghaziabad, Government Engineering College Hassan. Yes, have you any questions regarding questionnaire design? Yes, please.
Yes. What are the possible sources of error in measurement?
Sorry, sir, could not get you.
What are the possible sources of error in measurement?
Possible sources of error in
Measurement. Error in measurement.
if through questionnaire you want to say.
I would like to question that when we are doing the hypothesis regarding some measurement purpose, what are the different parameters that we can use?
For framing of hypothesis or for framing of questionnaire? This is not clear.
Not for the framing of questionnaire.
Yes? You want hypothesis?
Not for framing questionnaire.
For questionnaire, that I have already discussed. One is that when you are framing the, first of all, when you are coming from the criterion questions to the different items, you have to take care that each of the criterion question is sufficiently answered, sufficiently covered through the number of questions, and there is as such no limit on as to how many questions for each criterion question should be there. It will vary from the nature of the criterion question. It may require just one question, it may require 3 questions. For different criterion questions, you may have different number of questions. Then the second part, other part which you have to take care is the framing of questions for the questionnaire. So certain points I have discussed under certain wording which you have to avoid. They have been discussed at length. And pilot testing is very important. Before pilot testing, I would say once the questionnaire is done, you have written the instructions also, give to the experts in the area. They may be researchers or other such type of persons who are expert in the field. Say you want to go for the testing of the software which you have done, so you may take some technical people also, some other educational experts also, so that they match these things. And then you take 5-7 respondents also, whether they are not feeling any difficulty or not, because as such there is no statistical test which will verify that your test questionnaire is having the content validity. Right? Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yeah, ma'am, thank you. Thank you
Have
for
you heard
that.
it? Okay, thank you. So now we come to the other 2 forms, interviews and observations. Let me just hear from, I think you must be knowing that it is the oral and in-person administration of questionnaire to each member of the sample. Nowadays, even telephone interviews are becoming very common, even for the recruitment purposes, but it will all depend. If you have that type of rapport with the individual, that person will attend to your call and give. Otherwise, you may have to go to the face-to-face type of administration. Advantages are that they ensure participant understand the question. There's no now doubt if any question is not clear or anything, they can means ask you, clarify the things. Any other advantage which you can see? Any other advantage you can think of? Hanji? Face to face interview is there, so you are even means reading the non face verbal communication also. Okay, it's not personality test. It's just that if the person researcher is not respondent is not feeling very comfortable with your question, you can see from the face that he is not comfortable. Then you may reword the question, right? So that he feels okay in answering the things. So permits researcher to follow up. This also helps him give some leads to obtain the questionnaire and further dig into the things, because in the questionnaire you don't have that type of scope. Minimizes missing data because it's face-to-face situation, so missing data problem will be minimized in it. Enables clarification of unclear responses. What will be the disadvantages in any case? Broadly, just of for going for interviews.
Requires more time.
Very good. The answer from this studio is requires more time, and that's why at times what we do, we will send to the means major portion is taken through the mailed questionnaire or through the personal, but some of the information, only say 10% of the sample is interviewed. But there may be certain research questions which wherein interview is the only thing. But interviews generally supplement what you are collecting through the questionnaires also. So disadvantage, rightly said, people refuse participation. This may happen. They and it can be risky for the interviewer also. If the person is not means feeling offended like that, so it may not be means the most disadvantage comes with the bias of the in the responses. I feel that my software is very good. Now, even if the respondent is saying, interview is saying that it's not, I am having this problem. Okay, this problem was not there. It's put like that. So that type of bias can be there in the interviews. Now, when you should go for the questionnaire and when to interview, when it will depend upon the nature of the investigation, geographical distribution of the study population, because if it is larger, then of course questionnaire will be more easier, and type of study population. Your population is illiterate, so you have to go for the interviews like that, or maybe otherwise physically challenged like that. So you have to look into those aspects and then decide whether to go for the interview schedule or for the questionnaire. Now, interviews are also of different types. One is the structured type. In the structured type, means you may say that call it as that it is the oral administration of the questionnaire itself. You don't deviate from the questions. You ask questions in that sequence as the questionnaire is. So is one respondent an established set of questions. So if they say you have 2-3 people who are going for taking interviews, they all will be given same set of questions. Same set of questions in that order will be asked by the interviewer from the respondents. The other is the semi-structured interview. This is the best among different types of interviews, because here purpose is with us, but you can if required means supplement certain information, makes more clarifications to them. So this is interview in which interviewer has a general framework. Here I have to reach for such type of criterion question, but not exact set of questions. So you can deviate from that. And the last is the unstructured interview. Can I know from you what will be there in the unstructured interview?
In which there will be no established set of questions.
No,
plan.
right. Only purpose is there, and generally it is not used for research. Generally, it's not used. It's generally used for the psychological treatment and means clinical that type, because there the respondent is not ready to share the inner problems. So there they go, because they have to take out what is bothering the individual. So they have the broad that aim with them, and the rest of the procedures, the interviewer. So this is generally done by the, I would say, the professionals only. So it's flexible approach to interviewing. So just they, let me not keeping in with the time, let me not go into that. So it can be, if the interviews are face to face, they are of course expensive and time consuming. We have the telephone interviews also here, and for that you have to have means phone numbers of everybody, and randomly you pick up the people, otherwise a random sampling will not be possible. Then we have the focus group interviews. Now the difference between the focus group interview and in-depth interview is just that in the former we have the interview with the group, not with the individual, but in the later case we have one-to-one only. So in the sorry, see, so while conducting interviews, you have to take care that clear explanation should be there why you are going for it. You have to take consent of the individual. In India, I think people that much not bother. Maybe in coming times, that type of things here also come. But in other countries, if the interview is not comfortable and refused, you just can't have that interview. You have to take, at times written consent is even taken from them that they are ready to participate, because at times they don't want that certain personal or otherwise their is perceptions even they are shared with through the research also. So you have to take that type of consent from them. Privacy is important, especially if there are some sensitive questions in your interview schedule. Safety awareness should be there. Some people, some question may make the interview hostile, so you have to take care of that also. Then you are to take the completion check, and at the end you acknowledge, you thank that person. Like in the questionnaire, you are to acknowledge his contribution because he has given you the time. And if required, you have a feedback form, otherwise it's not required. Confidentiality is very important. Right when you start the interview, tell them that your responses will be kept strictly confidential. You ask the teacher about something and the teacher has some problem and doesn't, he has a fear that the things will be communicated to the principal or to the directorate. Naturally, then he is not going to share the information. So the confidentiality in questionnaires, in interviews, that is very important. And the training interviewers is important. Say if two persons are going for taking the interview. Now, say Priyanka is having different perception of what the other person is saying, and Isha may be having different perception about the same thing. So you are to train, because reliability concern, as I was saying, is very important. Otherwise, the whole effort, means whole research work will not be of good quality. So what for quantitative information, certain, say they take the interview, and if the 90% of the time they, especially for the quantitative data, if they go, they match for the things, then it is taken that the both are, means equally good. And same thing is taken care in the observation schedule also. When you are making observation, we send the two individuals for making the observation of the, say, lab, workshop, anything, and parameters are given to to make the entries. So if both of them were more than 90% of the things, quantifiable things, if they say it was like that, then those means into two different observers can go for the data collection. Of course, for the quality type of items, you have to fix the things that, okay, if these type of responses will be there, then you will call it as the excellent. If this thing is existing, then this. And there we restrict to the, if they 70% they are, means with each other, then they can be taken in the for the conduct of interviews and interview observations also. So preparation, you are to introduce yourself, clear the purpose when you are taking the interview. You tell that roughly I will be taking around, say, 20 minutes, 20, like this. Then in your schedule, first question should be as was in the questionnaire. It should be easy and non-threatening, general, open-ended type. वहाँ हमने closed-ended लिया था, here it's a open-ended. He can deviate from that also. Last question, demographic, age, employment status. And then in interviews, most important is the funnel sequence. Funnel sequence means general things and then you narrow down to the things. As is the funnel, so is the procedure for that. Yes, interview bias is important. Dress neutrally and do not talk very high academician type of thing. So you just have a normal type of what they be friendly, but at the same time you have to be professional. That's very important because it's not your informal type of chat there. Keep the introduction similar in all interviews. Your mood is not okay, you behave in a different way. Your mood is good, you behave in a different way. But remember that is going to affect your interview procedures. Start with straightforward questions. Save time for the more difficult questions, sensitive questions. They may take more time. So go in a normal way. The other person, respondent, should not feel about it, but you are to plan in your mind like that. Avoid leading questions as we had done in the questionnaires. Be comfortable with silence. Why? At times, respondent needs time to think. So give that time to the individual. At times he may feel that okay, I share this much, share not to share this much. So give that type of time to the individual. There are certain sources of errors, predispositions of the respondent. Your respondent may be of hostile nature to the researcher. क्या आ गया टाइम लेने के लिए मेरे को, और काम थोड़ा बड़ा है भी, आप भी यहाँ पे पहुंच रहे हैं. सो यू हैव टू, एंड ही मे बी सस्पिशियस, ये जरूर मेरे लिए कुछ गलत करने आया है. सो यू हैव टू बी केयरफुल अबाउट इट. Indifferent or not motivated to cooperate because he is taking you as a waste of time. He may lacks information, so naturally he can't help it. Want to please interviewer. Things are not good, but he wants to show that everything is okay and you need not worry about it. Get the data and go. Wants to present himself in a favorable terms. This is general human being problem. With that we want software, no problem. I am using it so confidently. Actually, he is having problem. But at the surface, he may not. There may be other type of persons also who will tell more than even the problem is not there. Even then, they will say that there is a problem. But there may be persons who will just say that, okay, I am very comfortable with the new technology, no problem with me. I am very highly technical person. So researcher will have to put some effort to establish rapport and motivate the person to get the information. That's why interview is not that easy type of job. Then some problems are with the interviewer also. It's not only other end only. Feels uncomfortable when the senior persons are there. When you are asked to have the leadership styles of the principals or directors, the interviewer himself herself feels very bit uncomfortable. कहाँ भेज दिया है, टाइम ही नहीं मिलता है, 5 minutes में कितना पूछ लेना है. So that person, even the interviewer, feels discomfort about it. Allows her own opinions. This is very dangerous, to influence what he records. Because I am having certain expectations from my software. So even if this other person is saying something different, recording will be, rather I would say listening will be affected to go in favor what I want. So the interviewer has to be careful about this. It may happen that interviewer has not the skill to establish rapport, which is very important. Stereotyped expectations of what people are like. ये तो कुछ नहीं बताएगा, but okay, I have to fill the number of respondents, so let me have that information. So this type of expectation also can affect your interviews. So this was all about the, I have tried to cover which is not covered, I have skipped the things which were covered in the questionnaires. There were certain things common. What we mean by observation schedule? What we mean, any center please. What we mean by observation schedule?
Just observe.
Just observe, okay. Okay. Any other? She is saying that when the researcher doesn't come in contact with the individual from who is getting the uh, direct contact with the individual and is just collecting the information by observation. Okay. Any other response from MIET Jammu participants? Yes, please. What you mean by observation schedule?
Suppose we observe the suppose I take an example from experiment. Observation of the any data, that is make a device and take what is the observed from the semiconductor device analyzers. Then I make first table, and after that second day again we make a table and then compare between these two tables. This is called observation table.
Okay, okay, okay. You have taken the example from the pure sciences. Very good. But in any case, the example that way goes well with the things. In the
Suppose,
observation,
okay,
yes,
I
yes.
take from a classroom. In the first classroom, how many students are? I suppose I deliver one particular topic. I want to see which type of interest the students should take in this particular topic, and again have to teach that topic, and again I observe that it is suit for a student or not. Again I make observation schedule lecture.
Okay, good, good. Actually, I would say you have, that means, if I say ki what type of things you are observing is okay, but when you say interest, observation we make of the things which we can really, means, record also. So interest is inner part of the student. So you may not go up to that level. So you may have to find certain other ways to do it. You see, let me thank you, sir. Let me just take the example of, say, even the any inspections when take place. You may write that so many equipment is there, they are in working order, the practicals are conducted right in the time. You may say that any teacher is saying that I have, means, use student participation, use PowerPoints and everything. That is written only in the questionnaire items. But what actually is happening, that is your observation. You visit that place and see what exactly is happening. When you see, when inspections are taking, what happens, you actually, they will see, they will say that, okay, you tell us what is there in the labs, workshops and everything, how many classes engaged and everything. Then what they do, they actually go to your labs, they go to your workshops and observe what is happening, what is really there. So observation is when you go at the site and see what exactly is happening there, right? It may be you are observing certain classroom lessons. You had certain criteria that say the teachers are using PowerPoints, teachers are having student participation, communication, and everything. And you make that observation schedule and observe them on the basis of that. It may be observation of labs. You make certain criteria that, okay, they are, the things are well organized. Every charts are there displayed, things are displayed at what place, what thing is there. So that, and you go actually in that labs, you observe on the basis of that. So observation method may be employed within number of different research designs. They are especially valuable to actually see what are the really conditions are there. There are two types. One is the systematic direct observation. You go, you have certain schedule and you compare the things. The other is the participant observation. This is the naturalistic way of inquiry. Means you do not, you take the, say, 2 months, 3 months employment in that institution. Attend the meeting, how the communication is going on. See actually what is happening there. Because when we go for the direct observation, things at times, especially if they are informed, they may be, everything will be made goody and you make the observations. Even if you go for surprise visit also, you may not go the internal information from there. In the participant observation, you become part of that system. It's not that structure type. So you place yourself in that situation, not as a researcher but as a participant. You get you went there, you took, say, maybe employment contract, anything type like that, and then you see actually what is happening, because now you are more closer to those things. Generally we don't go for the participant observation, mostly we are using the direct observation. And for that matter, you have to frame checklists, rating scales, and you may have, when you go and observe the things, you make the, we call them as the field notes. And field notes should be taken, just say I come here, make the observation, just when I leave, I should make the notes. And you should, the researcher should have certain ways to coding that okay, if you write this thing, then it means this, and just after that means observation, you make the detailed notes of that. Because if you say that okay, when I go back home I will jot down, 50% of the things will be gone. So you have to take care of that. So again, introduce yourself to the institution, write items in that order. For that, the same type of things will go for, as for we were taking for the interviews, same procedures will be followed. Again, you are to train, if there are more observers, you have to go to 20 institutions, you can't go everywhere. You make the observation, you train the persons for that. You see that when you are going for NBA or evaluation, same persons are not going everywhere. So they have very set schedules that okay, this type of thing is to be observed, and for this type of thing, this much marks will be given. So everything is written there. The criteria of means observing, everything is detailed out there in terms of rating scales, maybe in terms of through the checklists also. So this is how valid observations are made. So this is all about the interviews and observation schedules. If you have any questions, you are most welcome. Any questions from any center?